Yuanting is completing the presentation mastery path. Yay! All right. This is her last speech for this path. Though you probably noticed that she did drag her feet to complete this last reflection speech. I didn't notice, but thanks for calling it out. Recently, Yuanting had trouble playing the Dongyan Toastmaster video on why joining Dongyan when she tried to convince her Chinese friends to join a Toastmasters club. Yuanting would like to do a reflection speech so that she can play it to others if possible. Let's welcome Yuanting.
Are you considering joining a Toastmaster group? Here are 3 reasons why you should do it. Language, culture, leadership skills. So first, language. Living in the US does not necessarily or automatically translate into better English. Sorry to tell you the bad news. No, it doesn't. You had to work on it. Toastmaster may not be for beginner, which is true. And you need a little bit English command before you're joining a Toastmaster group. But if your reasons why not joining the Toastmasters are because I don't have time, it's too expensive, it's too much work, or I'm lazy, these are not good excuses. These are just simply lack of motivation. Based on my living experience in the US, 20 plus some years, US is not a country for lazy people. Sorry to tell you the second bad news. A language is more than, English is more than just learning the language. There's a culture component to it. So one thing I noticed about Chinese, there are a lot of us coming these days, right, to the US as first generation immigrants. And we tend to build an invisible Chinatown, even though we are not confined to a physical Chinatown like in the past. In the past, all you can do is laundry, restaurants. You have to live in the Chinatown, right? But these days, we can do any jobs, basically. But most people, look at you. What do? Computers or analysts like me. We don't need to speak a lot of English, most likely, and be very proud of it. Oh, we don't need to speak much English at all. We're just crunching numbers or facing the computer programming every day. You know, we kind of, that's an easy escape for us. And we hang out mostly with Chinese. We eat Chinese food almost 100% of the time. So I would say we're losing out. You're not experiencing the culture here. So that's an invisible Chinatown. I'm actually very excited about coining this word. I'll be a famous sociologist one day, maybe. So that's what I mean by language is more than the culture. Coming to the Toastmaster, you will experiencing wonderful life stories of true Americans' life, which I benefit a lot myself. And I laugh a lot. It's almost the highlight of my Wednesday, every Wednesday. But learning culture is also a two-way street, right? We have a responsibility as an immigrant to teach Americans about our culture. So what do you do when you encounter someone who is very different from you? What's going on in your mind? There's actually a word, a buzzword for that. It's called cultural intelligence these days. It measures your adaptability and curiosity about other cultures. And there's a lot of subcultures in the US, right? As a Chinese immigrant, do you know how to talk to say, African-American person or Hispanic person. So there's a lot to learn about cultures, about subcultures. So this brings me to the third point, leadership skill. I used to hate about leadership skills. I don't have any ambition. My husband made good money. I don't need to make big money. I don't need to be a leader, right? I don't want to take my boss's job. But it's totally wrong because leadership skill is more than that. Here in Toastmaster, I step up and serve an officer position because I realize it's not fair for the same bunch of people to do all the background work all the time. It's just simply not fair. So, and Toastmaster as an international organization provide all kinds of position for you to try on your leadership skills. And at work, I finally take on this opportunity to learn more leadership skills just because I want to know more about my work, what other people do, like CBI people, crime investigation, highway patrol. So my work has many units. I used to don't know what they do. But through this leadership thing, I got to know what they do. I got to know the big people on the top, and they got notice me. Nowadays, what I got from that, they inviting me to like, oh, Yuanting, what do you think about this accessibility issue? Like, how do we reach different immigrant community on XYZ? I got noticed, and people inviting me to speak out. My boss even asked me, do you need a raise? That's why it's important to do leadership skills. So joining a Toastmaster can help you practice English and learn different cultures and practice your leadership skills. Do you have any more reasons why you shouldn't join a Toastmaster? Thank you, everyone.
Second, we have Rachel Pickett, who is evaluating Yuanting's speech.
Thank you, Rachel. So, Yuanting, what a great and inspiring speech. Thank you. I want to begin by just saying how you excelled at passion and humor. It came through from the very first moment you took the stage. You said, for example, you don't just come here and immediately learn English. You have to work for it. It added and injected a sense of humor and passion into your speech. I also felt that you had very clear points that you named at the very beginning of the speech, and you continued on with those points throughout the speech. So coming to Toastmasters will help you to learn English, to increase your cultural exposure, and to support your leadership skills. You then tied back to all three of those points throughout the speech, and it was very clear in that regard and well organized. You also made it interesting and not just like run-of-the-mill or stock type information. When you talked about culture and how it would support your cultural understanding, you talked a lot about, you even had your own term with this. You said cultural, I don't remember it, took a few notes, but you said cultural intelligence. I don't know that that was your term. I think Invisible Chinatown was what was the one that you invented. But back to culture, when you were talking about how Toastmasters can increase your cultural intelligence, it felt to me like you had depth with that rather than just a stock reason why it would support your cultural intelligence. And I thought that that was great and rich. In terms of things to work on, one thing that I experienced was I felt you could draw your point back to how Toastmasters can help you more specifically. For example, you said you can come to Toastmasters, or your experience coming to Toastmasters helps you experience stories of real Americans. And I wanted to know more, what is a story that you've learned that really helps you understand culturally real Americans? And how does Toastmasters help you understand this subculturally? So I wanted to hear more about that. I wanted to hear more depth in that, more stories, more examples. And I feel like that would help you organize your points in your speech more clearly. So to end, great speech. Thank you. Empowering, interesting, and I look forward to your next one.